Hello, it's Chris here with a quick comparison between the PiPo W4S, it's on the left, and the Chuwi Vi8 on the right. Both of these tablets have the same chipset. It's the Atom Z3735F, which clocks up to 1.8 gigahertz, and they both had 2 gigabytes of RAM, and they're both dual boots. But there is a difference here. You can see already with the screens. Just wanted to point that out. The Chuwi on my left has a much brighter screen. Now they do have different hardware. The screens I found out are made by different manufacturers according to the hardware ID on both of them. They are different. And they both come up. This one here is a MS 9001 as the hardware ID. And the Chuwi has a CMN 0003. Now I don't know who makes those. I did a quick Google search and I couldn't come up with anything with the MS 9001, but they are different. You can see that there is a definite brightness difference. This is a cooler white and this is more of a warm white that's on the PiPo. And when it comes to the internal storage, there's a big difference because they're using different brands as well. The PiPo is one of the first tablets I've actually tested that has a Samsung eMMC on it. And as you have a look here, those speeds are actually quite impressive for a embedded multimedia card. The write speeds there of 105, I haven't seen that before. And 22 for 4K random write is also a really good speed. And if you have a look on the Chuwi, I was not able to get anywhere near that. Much slower. Chuwi's speeds came out to be 74 on the write, slightly slower there on the read, and a huge difference when it comes to the 4K speeds. Now, is that speed noticeable when using the tablet? Well, not really, but I do notice that some things will load up a little bit slower when I'm using the Chuwi versus the PiPo that tends to load up a lot quicker there. In terms of performance, they're both pretty much identical. They're running the same chipset. There's a few points here and there running benchmarks with 3D Mark when running Geekbench, but they're more or less exactly the same when it comes to that. It's just the main difference there is the eMMC drive is a lot faster. And when it comes to cameras, there's a big difference too. The Chuwi has a 0.3, yes that's right, 0.3. That's a super low camera. The resolution, the camera just looks really washed out and it just looks crappy. Because you're not going to be able to see the difference here. But the difference, trust me, when you look at it in person here, is just a huge difference. And I'll see if I can aim it at something right now with the camera. So there's just a memory card reader. Focus, take a photo. Pretty blurry, pretty bad. That's the 2 megapixel rear camera at the moment. Take the same photo here with the autofocus on the PiPo. And hopefully you can see already that's taken a much better image. So if you do need one with a better camera, then maybe you should consider the PiPo. If you need a larger storage, then the PiPo is the only real option. Really, if you want 64, then it's the only tablet I've seen, an 8-inch one, that has these kind of specs. They're slightly better specs. Other than that, both of them are running dual boot, as I mentioned to begin with. What I would just like to quickly do is just give you an example of how the drive, the eMMC drive, can make a bit of a difference to the speed of things. If I just load up the control panel at the same time, and device manager, it's probably not going to work because it might already be cached in memory, but when running that device manager, just notice it took a lot longer on the Chuwi to pop up. That's just the kind of minor speed difference. It's nothing major, but you can sometimes just see moving around in the tablet that there is a difference there when you are using it. Okay, that was the same because I've just recently loaded them up to both look at the device, the hardware ID for the monitors, the IPS panels used in them. And booting over to Android, you have a button down here to swap over, and there is also an option here on the PiPo to swap into Android. And I'll just quickly show you now the differences of both of the tablets within Android. But before I do that, I will just show you the physical hardware differences. This is the PiPo W4, and there's nothing on the right side, and on the bottom we have nothing, and on the on the right side there is the power and volume up and down rocker. On the left there's nothing. On the top is where all the action is. So on the top here we have the micro HDMI port and the USB port here, the 3.5mm jack. We have a micro SD card slot, which I'll just show you. It's a bit of a pain to use. It's really hard to fit cards in there, I've found out. And when trying to fit a card in, you really either need really long fingernails or you need to use something else to help you to put that card in there, because it's just such a hassle to get in there. If I try and push it down now with my fingernails, I just can't get it just to go in properly. So I just use a SIM card and you got to push it in with that. And now the micro SD card will now fit in there, which is a bit of a pain, a bit of a hassle. I've also noticed that with the micro HDMI and the micro USB slots, they're too close together, and it can be a bit of a problem for using both at the same time. So if I just quickly plug in now an HDMI cable, and then I want to grab the charging cable at the same time, and I'll just show you that it is a bit of a mission to get them both in there so you can use both of them. It's really, really tight, and maybe you can get a slightly slimmer micro HDMI cable, but as you see there, look at how much that is just really, wow, too close together. Bit of a poor design there on that. They should have spaced it out like it's on the Chuwi Vi8, which I'll show you in just a second. Both of these tablets have horrible loudspeakers. They are some of the worst loudspeakers I've ever heard. They both seem to be about the same in volume. Chuwi has tiny little gaps here. Sorry, the PiPo, and the Chuwi is exactly the same. The back of the Chuwi is a horrible, just mono little speaker there. And these speakers, if you put on maximum volume, both of these speakers, they distort, and it does not sound good at all. Really rubbish speakers. But hey, it is a cheap tablet, but even so, if you're going to use a headset, you're going to have to use a headset really to hear them. If you're in a loud environment and you want to play a video or something, this is not the tablet to use. Neither of these, because it's just not loud enough there. Okay, so if I have a look now at the Chuwi Vi8, there's nothing on the right side, port-wise. Sorry, there is something. There's the volume up and down rocker and the power button. What I meant to say was ports. There's no ports there. And on the left side, sorry. I'm getting all mixed up. On the left side here, we do have the micro SD card slot in there. And that is a lot easier to use. So putting in a card like so, I can manage to put that in just with my finger. And it's a lot easier than the PiPo W4, and to remove it is easy enough too. Both of them work. 64GB cards work. There we have on the top left, we have the headphone jack, and these are the ports out here. So we have micro HDMI and the micro USB port, and these ones are spaced out a little bit more, a little bit better than the PiPo W4S. So plugging in the ports here, plug in the connection, and if I want to charge at the same time using that, there is enough room. See, there's a bit of a gap there. That's not too bad. You also get this little tiny status LED charging when the cameras are on that comes on the Chuwi. The PiPo does not have that. It's just a nice little extra. So removing that. So the loudspeakers on both of these, really bad. The material used is similar. They're both plastic tablets, plasticky. There's no metal backing on these. Both have a textured back on them. This is kind of a grey colour. And then you have a black. Does kind of show up smudges and fingerprints a little more than the PiPo. The key aspects here really is the storage and the cameras that are different. And now I'll show you the major difference in Android. And I'll just swap over to Android now on both the systems. So I have to double click this here and swap over this. And now both of them should be changing over into Android. So just a reminder that it's the PiPo W4S is on the right, and you can see now the Chuwi on the left. Okay, so very similar times to swap over and get into Android. Both of them are running quite vanilla Android experience ROMs here. We are running, I think, Android 4.4.4 on both of them. And we'll just check this out now. About tablet. So both of them are Android 4.4.4. And I will show you the big difference here is, although I have Play Store here, I haven't tried to install that myself. The PiPo W4S does not come with Play Store installed on it. The Chuwi Vi8 does. This came with Play Store. It was working straight out of the box. So there's a major difference there. You can root both of these devices quite easily with apps like Kingo Root and VRoot. You can download them off techtablets.com. But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer that this doesn't come with the Play Store on it. I'm still messing about with that to try and get it to work. At just the moment, I installed the Play Store APK, and this is as far as I can get. And I think I need to Play Services or just the Google Apps pack or something I need to install. So I need to check that out on XDA Developers and see if I can find something to get that working. But yeah, both of the ROMs are very vanilla Android, which is good. They didn't really have any bloat on them. The Chuwi had about 5 applications that were bloaty that you can uninstall 4 of them. There's this funny Z-High or something or other Chinese store that stays on there that you need root to remove that. And there's just no bloat really on the PiPo. So if you're a person that doesn't want to be messing around with trying to get Play Store to work, then you probably want to buy the Chuwi Vi8. And again, if you just want larger storage, then the only option really is just the PiPo with an 8-inch tablet. And you want the better cameras, then it's the PiPo. Personally, which one would I buy? Well, I would buy the PiPo just because it's got that larger storage. I really like to have 64 gigabytes. If you're using dual boot, then you need to have more space. And you get a lot more space definitely. In Windows, you get around 40 gigabytes free. And in Android, we just have a look. Right now, you get only 4.21 gigabytes free on the PiPo. So PiPo's giving you more storage on Windows. They think you want more storage on Windows and you want less on Android. You can also use the micro SD card slot, of course, to try and use that for expanding that for storage options. And the free space you get here on the Chuwi, well, I've got things installed now, but when I first ran the tablet, I had 6.42 gigabytes free on the Chuwi Vi8, which is actually more than the PiPo. And the free space in Windows, however, I only had 9.48 on the Chuwi. So you get a lot more. You get 32 gigabytes more storage in Windows on the PiPo, and of course it's a much faster drive, and you do kind of notice that a little bit. But they're both very similar. There's a price difference. The Chuwi is $99 US. And the PiPo is around about 125, 130 US, but you do get a slightly higher spec tablet. So that's the comparison. I hope you liked it. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out at all. Also to mention, I did have some trouble with the micro HDMI port on the Chuwi. I later discovered I had to really push the cable right in to get it to work in Windows. For some reason, just having it pushed in normally in Android, it works fine. Anyway, so if you're deciding between these two tablets, hopefully this video has helped you, made that clearer. If you like the video, please do give me a like and do subscribe for more up-and-coming videos. Thank you for watching and hopefully see you in my next video. Bye for now.